Hey, welcome back to OT Asset Management Weekly. Today we are not talking about the boring subject of OT asset management. Instead, I will spend today's session for discussing a video that I did a couple of years ago, called the Stuxnet Story. You can find it on our YouTube channel, on the OT-based YouTube channel. And the reason why I bring this video, is that it just recently hit 200,000 views, which for our channel is a lot, probably also in the big picture of videos focusing on OT security, on cyber physical attacks. So I want to give you my ideas, what I think is interesting and important about this video, so that you can probably get some additional ideas. First, I think it's interesting to point out one fact. Just imagine, if you have watched the video, what is not addressed. Well, you will see it clearly when I tell you. You don't hear anything about indicators of compromise. You don't hear anything about the intricacies of how the code was structured, how the DLL was manipulated, etc. Nothing of that is in there. The 0 days, I think they're covered in one sentence in the video. Isn't that interesting? I think it's interesting because the bulk of the video is dedicated to explain the process manipulations that were accomplished by the malware. And the reason I point this out is actually quite simple. A cyber physical attack does not intend to manipulate OT devices. It does not attempt to steal data, etc. It intends to manipulate a process. And therefore, if you want to understand a cyber physical attack that actually happened, or the design of a potential cyber physical attack, you have to understand the process. So in a nutshell, a cyber physical attack is a malicious takeover of the control of an automated process. And this is what the video focus on mostly. So at first I lay out how the overpressure attack works, and then later I talk about the rotor speed attack. And both of that requires obviously some process knowledge and knowledge of the actuators, of the sensors. And that is basically what took so long in the case of Stuxnet. So that took me a couple of years to actually figure that out, because as it happens, you don't find an operator's manual for the Natanz fuel enrichment plant somewhere on the internet. So that is certainly secret information. So therefore, it took a little bit longer, because most of the inner workings of the process, and I had to research by literature from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, for example, and from other government sources, where in principle the process is laid out. And then what proved extremely valuable was a couple of video sequences that also showed parts of the instrumentation and control. So just to reiterate, no mention, or almost no mention, of the 0 days. And that is one thing that I would say the majority of cybersecurity experts got totally wrong. Stuxnet is not about the 0 days. Those observers were simply carried away. Oh, no, those multiple 0 days, and that is so unique for Stuxnet. Actually, no, it's not. So we have seen 0 days before. We have seen multiple 0 days before. it does not contribute to the understanding of how that attack actually worked. The only thing that I took away back in the days when I saw the multiple 0 days, it led me quickly to assume that this is a nation state attack and that it must be a pretty high value target. And this is why I focused early on the Iranian nuclear program. But other than that, the 0 days are not important for understanding Stuxnet. And just to make the point totally clear, in the first version of Stuxnet, no 0 day was used. And the first version really is the most important piece for in the big picture of cyber physical attacks. And if you have seen the video, you will know why. And I probably touch briefly on that a little bit later. So then in the first part of the video, you will see a lot of explanation of the INC and also some historical background when I talk about why that instrumentation and control was needed. And you may wonder why. That was a surprise for me when I started my research, because I discovered that the instrumentation and control was unique. It was unique for the Iranian nuclear program. And this is why when I had my interviews with several nuclear enrichment experts that I reached out to, some of them at Princeton University, some of them, especially Oli Heinonen, so the man when it comes to Natanz, former head of the IAEA, who actually went to Natanz a couple of times, who basically uncovered their illicit nuclear enrichment program. And I ran into a funny situation when I tried to get their opinion on what the instrumentation and control could do. They basically, oh, we don't know, no idea. And then later it dawned on me, there's a very simple reason for that, because with other enrichment facilities, they don't use this type of instrumentation and control. So that was unique for Iran. And so other enrichment facilities, neither at Urenco, where all the design was stolen, nor at Pakistan, at HQ Khan's joint, if you will. No, they didn't use that instrumentation and control. They didn't have to. And this is what the introductory part focuses on, the backstory and the chapter called Technical Difficulties, where I explain how that was, why it was necessary, and that why also led me to to arrive at I would say, a fairly good understanding of the instrumentation and control. So, as you know, if you have watched the video, I point out, okay, this is the centrifuge, the cascade protection system. This is then the centrifuge drive system. Guess what? I didn't pick that up from manuals, from documentation in Farsi. No, I just, since I know what a protection system is, what it's supposed to do, etc., I told you this is the protection system for the cascade, etc., just by analyzing its function. And so that took certainly a couple of months to arrive at that understanding, and that helped to basically understand the attack code. And again, the code is brought in the analysis only, I think, at one or two scenes in the video, where I point out how it was done in technical terms, but that is really not that much interesting. What is really interesting is how that process was manipulated. And certainly you could also say, starting with the identification, what the vulnerability of that process is, especially in the case of the Iranian setup. Okay, so that gives you an idea why I spent I don't know, 10 minutes or so discussing the instrumentation and control. Then the other reason why I actually did the video was, in my opinion, I have to be blunt here. Most people still really don't understand Stuxnet. Their understanding is so superficial, because it's mostly about there was this with the 0 days, and then they manipulated the rotor speeds, etc. And yeah, that was it. And then in that during that manipulation, the recorded input values were replayed, and that is plain and simple nonsense. And I tell you why. So first of all, that rotor speed attack, that is, if you are an OT security expert or aspire to become one, that is trivial. The interesting piece is the overpressure attack, and therefore I spend a lot of time actually analyzing that and trying to get this point through, but unfortunately it appears to require too much interest in really understanding the subtleties and the nuances of this attack. So that is BS. It's not just about the rotor speeds, and also, again, with the recording and replay of sensor values, guys, listen to me. If you hear that or read that, you know right away this person has no clue, because that doesn't happen in the rotor speed attack. That is not where the sensor values are recorded and replayed. Trust me, it doesn't happen. It wouldn't even be possible on that 7315. You cannot do that on the 315. That only happens in the overpressure attack where the 417 is used. Again, the overall understanding is very, very limited, and I think that's bad, because especially in the OT security domain, in my opinion, it is required to have a foundational understanding of this cyber physical attack that apparently, looking back, with looking back 14 years, it's unique. So it's almost a singularity, and this is certainly also what I focus on at the end of the video. Well, so guess what? We didn't see copycats. So that's good for us, because copycats certainly are possible, would have been possible, but it looks like the hackers had better things to do, like trying to extort victims using ransomware. But so spinning it a little bit further, if you want to get a good understanding of this singular attack, I think the most important thing is really to get in your head it's two attacks. They are very different. And we have very clear, very distinct stages. In that first stage, we saw the overpressure attack. In the second, the rotor speed attack. And if you don't know about this and the development, you know nothing about Stuxnet. And let me explain why. So, as I point out in the video, well, the first attack, the first version, that is a nightmare for anybody in OT security. And that is why I call it this particular chapter in the video absolute cyber power. This is it so much blows your mind, because as a defender, oh shit, how am I supposed to defend against that? At least that kept me up at night, when I realized that, and therefore I was very pessimistic in the early years after that revelation. So that's one thing. And then the second attack, is very much different. And now here's the thing. Why one reason why that motivated me in its own right to do this video. You may have heard many times, "Oh, that was so stealthy. It was such a stealthy attack," and it only dawned to me much later that no, that was only the first version of Stuxnet. The second version with the rotor speed attack, that was not stealthy at all. It was not stealthy. And the missing link, so I had this idea in my mind already back in the days when I wrote To Kill a Centrifuge, which is my, like a white paper, like a textual analysis of the attack. It dawned already on me in those days that, well, it might not have been, the second attack might not have been so stealthy after all, but I really didn't know as a fact. And that changed a couple of years later when I came along some video footage from within the plant where one could hear the background noise, or let's just say the noise level in the cascade hole at Natanz. And then it was very clear. What was very clear? That the second attack, when it executed, could not have been missed. And that the attackers knew that. and that leads you to a very funny conclusion in my perspective, that with the second attack, the attackers had completely given up on the idea to stay under the radar, which was very, very important for the first attack. And that certainly changed my assessment of the overall strategy, etc. The element of stealth was completely thrown out of the window, and therefore also the use of multiple 0 days. I also make the point in the video. Well, you could bet that sooner or later that was discovered. And then not just me, but also other people would speculate, well, this suggests that we are looking at a nation-state attack. So that is something that I found very surprising. And therefore, I would say the core statement that you can take away in respect to that fact is, from the video, the core statement is that a perfect cyber weapon had been turned into a prank. So first version, perfect cyber weapon. What is a cyber weapon? That's a software artifact designed to cause physical harm. That's my definition for a cyber weapon. And this is what you see in the first version of Stuxnet. That's the long and short of it. And that was turned into a prank. And I don't mean that in a figurative sense. So the attackers knew for certain that the operators at Natanz would discover in the first run already what's going on with our rotor speeds. That is a fact. So there is no way around it, because they will have heard the differences in rotor speeds. If you find that hard to believe, go back to the video where I make that audible demonstration, where I simulate the sound in the cascade hole that as it would have sounded when the attack was executed. Okay, and reflecting some comments in the video, if you think there is any chance that the operators or the maintenance people could have missed it, you have never met an operator in real life. So if you have the opportunity to live in a real factory environment, or if you have the opportunity to talk to people who live in that space, you will learn rather quickly. These guys there, they feel that the process is either running smoothly or there is something at odds. Sometimes you can hear it. Sometimes you can feel the vibration. That reminds me of a very funny experience I had many, many years ago. When I started out as an OT security consultant, and we had an assessment for a company in the paper and pulp industry. And then we had discussed the risk that somebody would manipulate, the attacker could manipulate their paper machine and then display fake values at the SCADA screens, etc. And that is such a great experience when you talk to the control engineers. And there was no, that's not possible. They told me, Ralph, do you feel that vibration here in this conference from where we're sitting? I said, yeah. That's our paper machine. And so we can feel it if it runs smoothly or not. We know right away if anything is at us. So that was a very striking experience for which I was very grateful. And that is just to give you an idea. No, they will never have missed this fact that all of a sudden the rotor speed went up, and then so if it went down to almost zero, the centrifuge just went silent. So there's no way around that. And that is, I think, a very interesting and important aspect of this whole attack, of this whole campaign, if you will. It's a complete change, if not reversal, of strategy. So first they were focusing on really being very much undercover, totally stealthy. And then all of a sudden, no, just give them the finger and let the Iranians know, guys, we are in your facility. We have taken over control. This is my interpretation. That was the idea behind the second attack. And certainly it also makes some sense if you subscribe to what I then in the end of the video put out as my hypothesis, what the strategy, what the objective was, just to throw sand in the gear. Because if you consider that this adversary has taken over control, talking about the PLCs, etc., of your nice little fuel enrichment plant, what does that tell you? Well, just the cleanup will take you months. Because certainly you want to be sure that you have really kicked them out. So that was absolutely clear. That would delay the program. My estimate was for a total of basically 2 years. So it didn't stop the program. And that also was clear. And also make that point in the video. There was no chance that this attack could have stopped the program. But it, in my estimate, it has delayed the program. It has delayed progress for my estimation around 2 years. If not only, if just for the effort required to clean everything up, make sure that the systems were disinfected. Okay. But so that is, in my opinion, a very important aspect of this whole campaign. And if you have never heard about that, I think you don't know a lot about Stuxnet. Then the other thing that I point out at the end, also very important in my opinion, is we didn't see copycat attacks. Still leaves me wondering, because I had a couple of ideas how I could take advantage of the technology, the tactics, etc., that are now for everybody to see, but it didn't happen. And that, I believe, is a very interesting observation that still calls for some explanations. especially because every single OT security vendor, and so if you didn't know, so we don't OT based, we don't consider us as an OT security vendor. Every OT security vendor tells you every day in the week, oh, you know, these cyber physical attacks, OT attacks, they are increasing. No, they are not. Show me the evidence. Show me a similar forensic analysis as I have put it out for Stuxnet, and then we can talk. But as long as you don't provide any evidence, I call BS. And this is what I do every now and then on Twitter. When the next genius, excuse me, on LinkedIn, when the next genius or self-proclaimed expert tells you about how the OT attacks are increasing. No, they are not. And keep in mind, Hitchens razor, as it is called, about principle developed by Christopher Hitchens. If something is alleged or claimed without evidence, you can dismiss it without evidence. So don't trust all these doomsday experts who suggest that the sky is falling, and therefore you should buy their wares for the threat detection. So that's my opinion. And as you may guess, this whole development after Stuxnet led us to not invest in threat detection. It led us to invest in OT asset management, which is the foundation for a solid protection regime. Okay, so those are a couple of ideas that I think are important as takeaways from the video, and I encourage you to review those aspects. Video takes about 40 minutes, might be worth watching again. Finally, the one thing that totally baffled me, I did not anticipate that, there is constant criticism of the video on YouTube. And if you haven't seen it, you know, I think it's just baffling. You know, the sound is shitty. The music is way too loud. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, I agree. Yes, you are right. The music is too loud. I'm so damn sorry. I'm sorry, but I won't remix the video or anything. So I just want to give you some context in closing. This video was a no-budget production. It was done back in the days at my home, which in the days was a one-bedroom apartment in Munich. And it was my first longer video production. And it has a couple of flaws. For example, this one I find rather embarrassing here. You see the shadows, you know, the lighting, all of that was not professional. So I hate this, but again, it is what it is. So this was my first no budget production. And what many people don't seem to understand, some say, oh, Stuxnet made you rich. No, it did not. I lost money doing all that research. I lost money doing To Kill a Centrifuge. I lost money doing that video. And believe it or not, but I just wanted to have it off the table. It took me about, I think, roughly 2 weeks, the recording and then writing the script, etc. I just wanted to have it off the table. I did not use professional equipment back in the days. As you can see that in the color coding, you know, like a greenish color on my face, just like I was just coming out of the Matrix. And certainly the sound and all that stuff. Yes, you are right. It's not good product, not high production quality. But if that bothers you, I mean, just go and watch a video from Microsoft or Symantec. If you like that better, I don't want you as a viewer. So, and I just had to get this out because this is something that apparently many people they have developed an attitude where they just expect to get the best quality, you know, for free, certainly. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. So I had to get that out here because I think it's rather silly, those comments. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share. Next week, we'll continue with OT asset management topics, which hopefully you will find not more boring than talking about Stuxnet. Bye-bye.